Yo, what's up, guys? So, is it a good idea to date at your workplace? Well, someone is finding out the hard way and she's going through some dilemmas right now. So, we're going to jump into this post and I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on how to deal with someone at work who you used to date that is not leaving you alone and constantly messaging you and reaching out. So, the title of this post says, Amazonian ex-boyfriend keeps slacking me and that's the only way he could reach me. Okay, so Slack, by the way, for those of you that don't know, is a internal messaging app that we use at Amazon. She says, we both work at Amazon and I dated this Amazonian guy from a different org and we broke up a year ago. He has been trying to keep in touch with me since then. Oh, he seems a little desperate. I blocked him from all social media and his phone number. So he has been messaging me via work Slack almost every day about random topics and I delete them after a few days. Or he deletes them after a few days. I know he wants attention from me. What should I do? I'm ready to take action on this. All right, so first of all, I'm gonna give you a little bit of advice. Even though you might find someone attractive at the workplace and he or she might work on a different team, on a different org, maybe even a different location, deliberately going out and dating someone in the same workplace could potentially lead to trouble. You know, it's a small world out there. You never know when you might see them again, or and this goes for even dating someone outside of your company. There's always going to be that risk that you might run into them again, or that they might just be some crazy stalker and won't leave you alone. So there's always going to be that element of risk, but you can help sort of mitigate that and reduce that risk by just staying away from dating people who work within the same company. You know, Amazon's a huge company. They've got 300,000, 400,000 plus workers, but the tech community can also be pretty small. And if you're dating someone who lives in your locale, even though they might belong to a different team, different management structure, it's just not something that I personally recommend. Even though you might find them attractive, they're super cool, blah, blah, blah. There's just so many other people out there. So that's my first bit of advice. Don't shit where you eat is the phrase that I think people often use. Now, you're saying that this person is constantly messaging you because you blocked them on your phone and all the different social media apps, and they finally found another way to reach you, right? Through the work Slack. There should be an easy way on Slack to block someone. I haven't personally used it myself, but almost every single messaging app has this type of feature where you can just simply mute them or block them. And that's personally what I would do. I would also just maybe keep a track of all the records, because you mentioned that he is deleting his messages after a few days when you don't respond. What you should be doing is either doing a screenshot or taking a photo with your phone or just printing out the transcript and then saving all of those for when you need to escalate. And I'm not saying you should escalate right now, but if and when you get to that point where he's just not stopping, or he's being abusive, or he's using some pretty negative remarks or doing other things like harassing you, basically, you have all of this transcript, you have all of this proof that you can then take to HR and say, hey, my ex has been doing XYZ. Can you please step in and help with this situation? That would sort of be the last resort. I would not involve HR or your manager and make this a much more bigger deal than it needs to be, unless you absolutely have to. I think most people, they have self-pride. They have the wherewithal to stop messaging people if they're not being responded to after a certain while. And hopefully after a few weeks, maybe a month, he just gets tired and he moves on. But if he's still contacting you, if he's still harassing you and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, then it's time to escalate. And life's too short to be able to deal with this kind of crap. So I would definitely encourage you to mute him, disable the messages, block him. He's probably gonna find out other ways to contact you. He might find out where you sit. He might email you. At that point, you might have to call security to handle the situation. But try to resolve the situation on your own if you can. And if it does continue to escalate, that's where then you also need to escalate. But going back to my original point, try not to shit where you work. Try not to date in the same office or date a coworker. Could it work out? I mean, I've heard of coworkers meeting at the workplace and settling down. One of my good friends from high school, they actually met in the break room and they're now happily married with a couple kids. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it's also pretty rare. So best practice is just avoid dating at work. Anyways, guys, those are kind of my thoughts. What kind of advice would you give to this OP? If you can help her out, drop some comments down below, leave some advice, like this video, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.